Hi, it's Steph, and today I'm going to share with you 3 new to me spring blooming bulbs that I recently picked up to plant in my garden. Now, I bought these bulbs from a company called dutchgrown.com, and I bought these with my own money. No one sent them to me for free. But the reason I'm sharing this with you is because a few years ago I had bought some beautiful daffodils and I had ordered from this company, and the daffodils were such beautiful quality. The bulbs were just nice and big and healthy, and I had planted them in a bed that unfortunately gets really poor drainage, and I have lost quite a few over the past couple of years because of the poor drainage. The bulbs tend to rot. So that's why it's really important to plant spring bulbs in a well-draining area. But that aside, I remember the bulbs being really good quality. So last week, I kind of thought to go on their website and see what they had in stock. And I know at this point it's getting late in fall. It's actually mid-fall now, but for ordering bulbs, it is a little bit late. The good varieties, or the varieties that are most popular, are mostly gone by now. But what I was doing was I was looking for some bulbs that I had never grown in my garden before, and I thought it would be fun to order a couple of those and see what they come up like next spring. So let me show you what I ordered, and then we'll get them planted. All right, this is a true unboxing because I've never opened these before. Let's go ahead and see if my Hori will do the job of getting this box open. All right, let's take a look at the 3 new to me bulbs that I'm going to be trying to grow this year. The first one here is Fritillaria meleagris. This is a really interesting looking spring bloom. They actually have the shape of like a tulip, a bell-shaped type bloom, but they're nodding, which means they hang downward. And what's most unique about them is the pattern on their petals. They have the most beautiful checkerboard pattern. They look like a checkerboard to me. My husband thinks they look like carbon fiber because he is a car enthusiast, but to me they look like a checkerboard pattern. And the mix that I got here from Dutch Grown is a dark purple burgundy color and white. And they're pretty short in stature at only about 10 inches tall. But I think they're going to be really pretty, a really unique, dainty spring bloom. Now, all of the 3 varieties that I purchased, they all have something in common, and that is that their foliage at the bottom of the plant comes out very strappy and grass-like. So all 3 of these bulbs that I purchased have that same type of texture and look to them, just that the blooms are different. In this case, this one, like I said, it looks like a hanging tulip. Like almost like a little lampshade, really, and it is really pretty. So I'm quite excited to grow this one. Now, some things to know about the Fritillaria meleagris. It is hardy in zones 4 through 8. It is deer resistant, which is a huge plus in my garden. Also, it is an early to mid-spring bloomer, and it is part sun to full sun. You also want to make sure that you plant any kind of bulb in a well-draining soil. The next bulb that I got is called Leucojum Gravetye, and it is giant snowflake. And these are good sized bulbs. They look similar to, say, a tulip bulb. And what I wanted to grow these for is for their really pretty little white bell-shaped flowers. Now, these giant snowflakes are very similar to the snowdrops. Now, the snowdrops are something that you see in very late winter or early spring. They're one of the earlier blooming spring flowers, and they actually come out, if I'm not mistaken, right around the same time as the crocus. Sometimes there's still snow on the ground when you start seeing them emerge. And they're very pretty, but very dainty. And so the reason I had never grown them before was because they were kind of small and I thought kind of insignificant. And they also have that grass-like foliage, but with these little blooms that are very similar to, say, a lily of the valley. But when I came across this variety that was called giant snowflake, meaning that they are larger in stature, I was pretty intrigued and excited to try them in my garden. These here, let me see, they are hardy in zones 3 through 8. They also are full sun to part sun, again, deer resistant, and they're pretty tall. These get to be about 28 to 32 inches in height, similar to the next one that I'm going to show you. Camassias, or the chemist lily. I have never grown these in my garden before, but I learned about them last year, and they are a really interesting spring bloom. So let me see how I can describe these. They look almost like, the bloom is a very pretty star-shaped bloom. They are part of the hyacinth family. They have the strappy foliage at the bottom, and then they send up these tall spikes where the blooms will start opening from the bottom to the top. They come in different shades of blue, and I'm pretty sure I've even seen them in white. Now, when we're talking about blue, when it comes to blooms, they are really a shade of purple, but some have more of a tinge of blue to them than others. This variety is called blue. Let's see, it's called, yeah, the bloom color is called blue. And these here are a zone, let's see, I jotted it down, 4 to 8. So these are a zone 4 to 8. They're also full sun to part sun, well-draining soil, deer resistant, and I think they're going to be really beautiful. I'm going to plant all 3 of these new to me spring blooming bulbs in this same bed right here. I'm going to show you where I'm going to plant them, and then next spring when they come up, we will take a look at them and see if they met the expectations that I have for them. I think they will be just beautiful, and I'm really excited to add these to my garden. And here is the bed that I'm going to plant my spring bulbs in. What I'm going to do is, I have 2 clumps or 2 groupings of some allium here and on the other end there. I'm going to clean up that allium, cut back all of the foliage that is now dry and done, and I am going to plant the giant snowflakes right behind those. And I think it'll be a nice spot because once the snowflakes are done, the allium will start sending out its new foliage for the following growing season, and I think it'll be a good transition in that spot. And right in front of this weeping blue spruce, I'm going to plant either the Camassias or the Fritillaria meleagris. So I haven't decided yet, but as I go along, I'll kind of make that decision on the fly, and then I'll show you what I decided on. I added some bulb tone to amend the soil, and if you don't have bulb tone, any kind of bulb fertilizer will work, or even some bone meal. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that you plant the bulb with the pointy side up and the roots down. But even if you accidentally plant it on its side, it'll look for the sun and correct itself. And I have 10 of these bulbs, and I'm going to plant them in 2 groupings of 5.
When I initially saw these bulbs in the package for these giant snowflakes, I thought they looked like tulip bulbs, but now that I'm looking at them, they actually look a lot more like a daffodil bulb. But when you're planting bulbs, the rule of thumb is to dig a hole that is 2 to 3 times deeper than the bulb is tall.
Right in front of this beautiful weeping blue spruce, I am going to plant the Fritillaria meleagris right around the base of this blue spruce. I think it'll look really pretty backed up against this. And I have a couple of foxgloves that are now spent. And foxgloves bloom one year and not the next. They are biennial. So I can go ahead and remove these and plant those in its place. And I think this will be a great spot for it. These are the bulbs for the Camassias or the camas lilies, and they're really small. And you plant 8 to 12 per square foot. So I've already placed my 8 in here, and I've sprinkled it with some bulb tone, and now I'm just gonna cover them back up. And we are all done here. So what I did was I had a drift of ageratum that a gardening friend had given to me, and I still have one up. I'm gonna let that one dry out so that I can collect some seeds. And I got rid of the other 2 that were on either side of the weeping blue spruce. So on either side where I had the ageratum, I planted a grouping of the Camassia lilies. And right in front of the blue spruce, in this area here, I planted the Fritillaria meleagris. And where I had the clumps or the grouping of the allium, this is the amethyst or lavender bubbles allium. So in the center here, I put the 5 bulbs of the giant snowflake on this side and on the other end where I had another grouping of allium. So I think this is going to be really nice for spring interest in this bed, and I'm excited to see what they look like when they come up. Well, that's it. They're planted, and now all we do is wait until spring to see what they look like. I hadn't really bought that many bulbs this fall. I got a couple of Christophe allium that I wanted to try out over at Lowe's, and then a few weeks back we found a deal on some boxed bulbs at Aldi, and I picked those up mostly for containers. But I'm really excited to see what these new to me varieties are going to look like come spring. So thanks for hanging out, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please hit the thumbs up button. And please consider subscribing so you don't miss any of my future videos. And we'll see you soon.